How We Got Here. Monday afternoon, How We Got Here. And today, this is going to be really interesting, I think. The history of gyms. I've never, ever thought about that before.
Yeah, you can thank our PD, Viola, for suggesting this. It's something we all kind of take for granted, I suppose. You know, those of us who work out, ask me which way the beach is. No, just kidding. But, you know, gyms have been around for an awful long time. And have you ever stopped to think about the word gymnasium for a second? Because that's where gym comes from.
Yeah.
So it's
what it actually means?
Yeah,
no.
I never thought to think of that until I was doing research for this. And of course, it's an ancient Greek word, of course. It comes from the word gymnos, which means naked. So I guess we know how ancient Greeks
used to exercise.
Enough said, right?
In the birthday suit.
That's right. And of course, humans throughout history, we've been constantly moving our bodies, you know, to find food and try to avoid being food, right? So physical activity has always been a part of our lives.
Yep.
But about 4,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, people started to discover that we could do specific types of physical activities and movements that would directly benefit our health. Right. So that leads us to the emergence of what they call structured fitness in the ancient world. And this would eventually create a need for gyms. Now, structured fitness means specific body movements designed by humans to improve strength and health.
Specific body movements for specific body parts.
Exactly.
Right, because as you mentioned, at one point in time, people would have just been, you know, running from predators or chasing their meal, and they would have noticed, you know, that physically they felt good. But at what, 4,000 years ago?
4,000 years ago.
You notice like, oh, if I repeatedly do bicep curls, my arms are going to get bigger.
Yeah, ancient Greece was really quite the civilization. You know, as we know, they've given us philosophy, art, culture, all sorts of things. And it was pretty fascinating to find out that 4,000 years ago, ancient Greeks were saying, we're getting too lazy and sedentary, you know, so we need to actually lift things with our bodies, move in certain ways to build our bodies.
I guess maybe people noticed in ancient Greece that the people who kind of, maybe the upper class people, I'm guessing, who laid around and had grapes fed to them. Yeah. And the palm fans, you know,
that would be the life.
They would get a belly after a while and not look so great. But the hard labor workers,
they'd be like ripped.
They'd be ripped. And then people probably started to notice that and thought, oh, well, maybe if we include some of their work in our own daily lives, we could still try to look like them a little.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, they were remembering that not long before ancient Greece, there was ancient China and ancient Egypt. Those are actually the ones that started this whole kind of movement towards exercise. Like in China, they had a thing that's, I suppose you can call it a predecessor to Tai Chi. It was breathing, very slow, fluid, formalized movements that they did specifically for health. And in ancient Egypt, acrobatics was huge. So those acrobats would practice calisthenics or body weight exercises so that they could actually perform the calisthenics for the pharaohs.
So what came next after ancient China and ancient Greece?
Okay, so here's the whole thing. I'll talk a little more about Greece first because they were the ones that set the foundation for this. They took all of that stuff that they learned from the Chinese and Egyptians together with people like Hippocrates, you know, he's the father of medicine. They all believed in this health. So they started to work out, and then boom, the Olympic Games.
Oh, okay.
So they created the Olympic Games 3,000 years ago as a way to battle city against city.
Right.
And to show who had the best physical prowess. So now being built was really a huge, huge asset to culture. Right. So the athlete was born.
Right. About 3,000 years ago. But it took 1,000 years of exercise before they thought, let's make a competition out of this.
Yeah, because let's be honest, who really wants to exercise?
Because it takes some of us about 1,000 years to actually get in shape,
Seriously.
I guess. Right?
Tell me about it.
All right, let's take a break. Here's Dua Lipa, Physical. So the athlete was born, the Olympic Games started, but we're still not even close to modern times.
No, but lucky for us, things went dark for a couple of thousand years. So we're talking about ancient Greece and how, amazing they were discovering physical activity and stuff. But as ancient Greece lost its luster and disappeared to history, 2,000 years went by before any sort of attempt to do structured fitness happened again.
Oh, interesting.
It's like the Dark Ages and people were farming or at war, so they had other things on their mind.
Still getting their exercise, but just not in a structured format.
Yeah, whether they liked it or not.
Yeah.
But something happened, the Renaissance, okay? And a couple of publications came out, one from Italy, one from Germany, that talked about ancient Greece training techniques, and they started these programs and started publishing articles and books about physical exercise. And people really got on board because it was the age of enlightenment, right? People wanted to learn, become better, and all that kind of stuff.
Self-improvement.
That's right. So those two things gave rise to the modern gym. Now, people were working out. They were really getting into this sort of stuff. So people started to go, hey, wait a minute. People like to work out together because they like to compete against each other, cheer each other on. Let's open up a gym.
Okay.
So that happened in 1799, the very first gym in Denmark.
I wonder what that gym looked like.
Yeah.
Probably reminiscent of today's gyms.
Yeah.
They had dumbbells, medicine balls. They had group classes with calisthenics. So really kind of similar, right? And from there, it exploded. 1850, the Boston, Massachusetts YMCA was massive. They had Olympic-style training courses, rings, pommel horse, combat training. I mean, it's kind of like a modern multi-purpose gym today.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's true. If you think about it, where we are today in terms of the equipment, sometimes there's some fancy equipment in a gym. But still, if you're looking at lifting weights, that's very archaic, isn't it? The bench press thing, the dumbbells.
Yeah. Lift heavy weight thing, go ouch, get bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of almost surprising how little we've come from the 1700s when the first gym was actually made.
Yeah, and that's because our human bodies haven't evolved that much. It's very similar.
Or if you look at it from the flip side of that coin, how they knew that was good enough in the beginning, right?
Well, of course, like kettlebells, are all the rage in the last 10 years, but that's an ancient Russian workout technique.
What?
So check this out. In 1926, a kid named Joseph Pilates opened his first studio in New York, and I wonder what kind of gym that was.
Yoga.
Yeah, that's ice cream gym. But in the United States, 1940s, all these crazy gyms started opening up everywhere.
Pilates goes back to the 1920s.
Oh, yeah.
I heard it goes back to the World War II, right?
That would be World War I, closer to one.
So I heard that it was developed by that guy. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was because, when people were in jail cells or whatnot, they had very little room to move around, but still wanting to stay physically fit and healthy.
Oh, interesting.
They've
I totally
kind
believe
of,
that.
Yeah, developed ways to move around within that limited space and maximize their effort, I guess.
Pilates was invented for prisoners, was he a prisoner at any point, Joseph Pilates?
I have no idea if this is truth or myth that you're telling
I should
us
look
right
it up.
now.
It makes sense, though, the theory behind it.
I'm going to look it up because I think it's a question coming up for us, right?
That could be the
Is
first
that right?
question.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, but then, of course, the whole gym culture exploded in the 50s and 60s with power builders, power lifters and muscle builders and Mr. Universe contests.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, he used to work out at Muscle Beach in Santa Monica. That beach out there, right?
Yeah.
Where you have all these massive guys lifting weights in the sand.
I went there. Oh,
you did?
Yeah. And I was so disappointed. There was nobody there on that particular afternoon. I was expecting to see like these NFL players, like these super jacked dudes. Not one person exercising that day.
Oh, man, it would have been great if you saw the kid on his very first day trying to lift weights out there. That'd be brilliant.
I don't think you see people that look like me exercising at Muscle Beach.
Well, you know what? Let me just throw out one more fact before we finish this whole thing on gyms. Do you know there are over 200,000 gyms worldwide?
I would think
200,000, 41,000 of them in the U.S.
Yeah, I don't know why. That sounds like a low
smaller number. Yeah,
right?
I think that would be the number for only in Korea.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Really?
Yeah, because there
are a lot. Yeah, there's actually 4 gyms in my neighborhood.
And I remember, gyms have been around here in Korea forever, right? But there was a style change at one point because gyms used to have, if they had extra space, it would often be things like racquetball courts or something.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
But then the screen, I don't know what year it was, but the screen golf thing came along. And then all gyms started putting in a golf 연습 portion of their...
Mine has one. Yeah.
The screen golf thing.
Yeah.
Screen golf or just a practice space?
It's a practice space where a bunch of people line up and hit balls and
But to the screen
angrily.
though, right? Because, I feel like if you want that whole net, you just need that extra space. But a lot of the gyms in Seoul are pretty compact, so...
Now they a lot of them have the screen golf option too, right? We've come a long way, I guess, from the original ones. I wonder if the first people, though, you said that original gym was in Denmark in
1799.
I wonder if there was still that person who signed up for the gym in 1799, but went once and then was like, no.
Oh my
and then the trainers were like texting him saying like, hey, we haven't seen you in a while. And he's ignoring their messages in Denmark.
It's not a message. It's like they had a letter on a pigeon and they had to fly it to that person.
Hilarious, right? So I guess just before we finish up, from what we've learned today, if the dumbbells and all of those things existed in 1790 and we're still using them today, then the future of gyms for the next 40, 50, 60, 100 years, they're probably going to look largely the same as they do now.
I would imagine so. You were talking earlier about how there are some new machines out and stuff, but all those machines are just kind of fancy rope and pulley versions of a dumbbell.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And a trainer will probably tell you that those machines are not as effective as just lifting the dumbbell weights or doing the bench press or the squats or whatever with the bars. Yeah.
Oh, my.
Got to get back to the gym. I have to get back to the gym tonight.
I have to start going to the gym.
I had a week away of laziness. Interesting, John. Thank you for that. Stay with us for hour number 2 to finish up the first. It's Inner Circle. I haven't heard this song for ages. Sweat. La 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 long. 100 years of wisdom. That voice right there, that's how I felt on that bench press thing in the park.
I can't get this back up. Is everything okay? Yeah, everything's really good.
I'll meet you at the restaurant.
Oh, man.
100 years of wisdom time. Today, Kate, you mentioned it when we got started with the show. It's about, we're going to debunk some myth busting today of sorts.
Yeah, before we get into this,
Yes.
let me stretch out. Hold on. Because it's better to stretch before you exercise or debunk myths, isn't it?
Oh, my God. Yeah.
You got it.
Did you read my script or something? Because the first question is indeed about stretching.
Get out of here, really?
I'm not kidding. It's really there.
Off we go.
Oh, yeah. So, when we normally walk into a gym or like, let's say before we go swimming or something like that, the standard thing that we like to do is we walk in. We, stretch our shoulders, our calf, we just kind of twirl around our ankles just to warm up because we want to prevent certain injuries. And that's something that we've been kind of taught. But is it really true that we need to stretch before we exercise? Is it true or is it false?
Well,
I think this should be a complicated question.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are two things. Like, I'm going to just talk right now.
Okay.
So if you're doing kind of an aerobic workout, I would say generally no. If you're doing weights, a warm-up surely wouldn't hurt.
Okay.
Yeah, but I would say, yeah. If you don't stretch before playing hockey or something like that, you could really potentially hurt yourself. But if you're lifting weights or something, the introductory sets could be considered the stretch and the warming up. But still, my answer, just to make it simple, I will say, yes, it is true. Stretching is necessary to avoid injury.
Okay. Oh, John, what about you?
I'll just say no to make this fun.
And fun is the winner here.
Not necessary, huh?
It is absolutely not necessary. Apparently, stretching before you exercise does little to no thing to your body. And the thing that you really need to do is more dynamic warm-ups.
That's exactly right, which is movements that mimic what you're about to do, right?
Something like that. So you want to warm up your muscles. Let's say you're about to do some bicep curls, and you have to do something that's a little bit more similar and just kind of stretching or elongating those muscles is not really going to warm up in any way.
Yeah, so you have to just start with a really light weight, and that's the simulation of the stretch, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And actually, experts say that doing these stretches after working out is far more important than doing it before.
Oh, I should stretch after that.
Yeah.
Good to know.
At the end of a hard workout, though, stretching is like the last thing you want to do. But I see some people at the gym doing it after their
same
workout.
here.
Yeah, and it's really good.
They're the smart ones.
Yeah, and then it's good to also use like a foam roller.
Yes.
To kind of like really push out any knots that might be there or anything that might have, I guess, crunched up while you were exercising too much.
Those are painful, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
all right, question 2.
Question 2. This kind of links to the first one. Does stretching before exercise then prevent injury?
I'm going to say no.
I will say no as well.
Yeah, you guys are both correct. It really doesn't do anything. So that's why we don't have to stretch before we do it. But I think just kind of as a preventative measure, as long as you're not feeling too stiff, let's say you were out in like really cold weather and you walk into a warm gym, then maybe a little bit of that might help out just to kind of warm you up a little bit. But
I'll tell you what, though, I like to just kind of, I'm sure all of us feel stiff every once in a while, our necks, backs, or calves. And so sometimes it's nice, even like doing a radio show, to stretch your calves or something when you're talking.
What I do
like I'm doing right now, everybody.
Are you stretching?
Every opening. That's
Yeah.
what I do.
I know, Steve has his
stretch
ritual
out.
stretch.
It just feels good to stretch your body sometimes.
I agree.
It really does.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back after 3:30 and continue on with today's 100 Years of Wisdoms. Here's Black Bear, Tyler Carter. Cars, clothes, calories. Our question today, tell us about the types of exercise that you do, your regular workouts, or if you don't do them, tell us what you would like to do in the future. Text in 450 or 101. DM us at Instagram. Leave us a comment at our YouTube live stream. You might be a 10,000 won coffee voucher winner, and we'll get back to your messages in just a little while. For now, we are in the midst of 100 Years of Wisdom. We had a couple of stretching questions to get us started today. Let's keep going. Question number 3.
Now, we all know that exercising doesn't turn fat into muscles. I think that was also a very popular myth about working out. When you work out, does your fat turn into muscles? Or if you stop working out, does your muscles turn into fat? They are two different things. So that doesn't happen. And so in that same sense, does that mean that when you do crunches, you can get great abs or you cannot get great abs?
Simply by doing crunches?
Yes.
No, you can't.
I'm going to say the answer is yes, you can get great abs, but if you have fat covering them, you will never see them.
So like you'll say that doing crunches or sit-ups is not going to help you lose any fat in the
It doesn't
stomach?
help you lose fat.
Correct.
You guys are both correct.
Yeah.
And I think this is a myth that a lot of people believe
Yeah,
in.
it's true. Yeah, people think if you do, I don't know, the 10-minute ab workout per day,
Yeah.
that you're going to have this amazing six-pack like by tomorrow morning. Not the case. You can build the muscles under there, but if the fat is covering them, then you're not going to see them.
Yeah, but why do 10-minute abs when you can do 7-minute abs?
Or none at all.
I like that idea.
Actually, interestingly, because, John, earlier when you were talking about your segment about people, targeting certain muscles and working them out was kind of like the genesis of how the gym came to be. That is true. Like you can target muscles and work them out, which is essentially why we have like our leg days or our upper body days or whatnot. But when it comes to losing fat, it has nothing to do with like targeted losing fat.
Yeah.
You either have to burn it out and just it comes down altogether, or you're just going to get bloated altogether.
Like a general fat burning, then it takes it away from everywhere?
That's the thing that I need to get through my thick head.
Me too.
Is that it's not just what you do in the gym. It's more important your diet. The food that you put in your body is more important.
Exactly.
But I just refuse to give up on my snacks. And I'm trying. That's the goal for 2021 for me. Is, I mentioned it before, I've been healthy with my eating Monday through Friday, but on the weekends I say, I don't care, I'll eat whatever I want.
Yeah.
But I need to get to a place where it's not, I'll just eat whatever I want. I need to change my lifestyle.
Yeah.
So
That's
that
tough.
it's healthy all the time.
That's
yeah,
tough.
it's hard, yeah.
Like me, I brag about I'm like 80% vegan, whatever. And I am. I really healthy. And then suddenly there I am on my couch with a bag of potato chips, the whole bag going down. It's like, hey, I wonder what happened to my healthy eating. But it happens.
It's vegetables. It's potatoes.
Yeah,
there you go.
And the reason you do that is because potato chips taste amazing.
They're so addictive.
They're so good. Especially like the ones that are like a little thicker and you get that crunch.
Super
and
salty.
it's like salty. Yes.
The salt.
I feel like we're
Hey, you guys,
focusing.
let's go to the quote-unquote gym together, which is right downstairs.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah. But just a little side note. Apparently, sit-ups and crunches are probably the least effective in losing belly fat is what they all say. You need to have a lot of interval training, a combination of that and eating carbs effectively, also getting a lot of sleep and keeping your stress levels low. Yeah, with the potato chips,
What
right?
was the last part? Keep your stress levels low.
Keep your stress levels low.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's important too.
But I think that kind of goes hand in hand if you're just working out generally. You're most likely your stress hormones will probably go
Maybe.
down.
But yeah, the sleep thing though, I've heard that from every single trainer I've ever had.
Make sure you're getting enough sleep.
They say it's insanely important to changing how your body looks.
Do you guys actually sleep much better after you work out?
I work out at night and then I can't come home and go to sleep. And we haven't played hockey here for a while because of COVID, but we would play from 9 to 11 and I couldn't, coming home from hockey at 11 p.m., I couldn't sleep until about 2 a.m.
Right. That sounds
You're just
about
too
right.
amped up after.
Oh my God, I feel like this is a perfect segue to go into another question.
Do it.
Because you said that after you come home from work, after you work out in the evening, you have a hard time falling asleep.
Yeah, right away.
That is because when you work out in the evening, your body wakes up. And because of all that energy, you have a hard time kind of decompressing and then falling asleep. Yeah. So that's why a lot of people actually work out in the morning. So is it true or false? The best time to work during the day is in the morning. To wake your body up, to get your day started and energized.
So the question is it better to work out in the morning than at night?
But any other time during the day?
I'm going to say no. I don't think it makes a difference, really.
Okay, John, what about you?
As usual, my answer is going to be convoluted, but I'm going to say this whole circadian rhythm thing,
Yeah.
Our natural body clock. That's why Steve can't go to bed for about 4 hours after he gets back from late night hockey, because you messed up that internal clock, right? So I'm going to say as long as it's kind of in the daytime when the sun is up, it doesn't matter. As long as it's in the daytime.
Morning time is not necessarily the best time.
Not necessarily the best time is what I mean.
You guys are so wise. Because it is true.
Does that mean we're athletes, Steve?
Yeah.
Knowing this knowledge,
my
you're burning fat.
We're ready for the Olympics, John.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
let's go.
I think what John said is kind of spot on. It is bad to work out during the nighttime because you don't want that rhythm to be kind of off so that you don't fall asleep. But anytime during the day, that kind of suits you. So if you are a morning person and you prefer that time and that's just like a good time for you to work out, that's great. But if not, during the day is fine as well.
That's what I want to become too, is a morning workout person.
That's hard.
Super hard.
It's hard.
Why is life so hard, John?
I don't... potato chips.
Yeah, we don't have enough time to answer that question. Let's hear a brief word from our sponsor. Let's do a couple of more questions before we take a break.
All right, that sounds good. Now, if you work out, I wonder how much do you guys actually sweat? Sweating is like the least favorite part of working out for me.
Oh, really?
I don't like that feeling. I don't like the smell. Not that it smells a lot, but it's just...
Icky?
It's unpleasant. Yeah.
Icky,
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much do you guys sweat when you guys work out? would you say you're like a heavy sweater or like you don't really, because I know some people who could be on the treadmill for like minutes and they just don't even break out a sweat.
Yeah. Depends on the exercise for me. If I'm on a treadmill for a while or a stationary bike for a while, then yeah, I sweat for sure. If I'm playing hockey, oh my goodness, yes. But if I'm just doing weights that day, probably not that much.
Same for you, John?
I'm pretty much exactly the same way. Like if it's anaerobic, like lifting weights, I just don't think you do it long enough. You know, you're taking breaks between, right? But if you're doing aerobic workout, then definitely sweating like crazy.
All right.
But I for one, like it though.
Yeah, I love sweating in the gym. I just don't like sweating when I'm on the bus or walking around.
That's also very true.
That is not cool.
That's
Oh,
true. Yeah.
okay. So here is my question. True or false? Sweating a ton means you had a great workout.
Oh, I think I read about this somewhere. The two are not related. People think the more you sweat, the better workout you had.
Yeah.
But I heard that that's false. The amount you sweat is not related to the quality of your workout.
I'm going to agree with that.
So the sweat are not the fat juices leaving your body?
Fat juices. We, the human hamburgers.
Yes. Squeezing you is
I'd
just
like to think that
a
though,
burger.
right? It's kind of rewarding if you think about
I
it.
guess
that way.
No, that's
so.
a gross thought.
It's kind of
Ew.
gross too. No, it's definitely not that.
Wait, unless there
Yeah.
happen to be two life-size buns next to me, then I'm okay with that.
Squeezing you between. Yeah, no, it's true. Sweating has nothing to do with how well you have worked out. In fact, there are so many factors that go into how much you sweat. It could be the humidity of the room. It could be your core temperature. So even if you're just like on the treadmill, you could be sweating a lot. But if you do enough weights where your whole body temperature is rising, then that's also going to cause perspiring and whatnot. Now, how about one last question?
Can I ask a question about hot yoga first, though?
Oh,
Have you ever been in a hot yoga room?
I know.
I
I
shall
don't
not
want
be
to.
doing that anytime soon.
I have.
Oh.
Not to do yoga. I was
Oh.
just curious. Like,
Oh.
what does it feel like in a hot yoga room? I couldn't breathe.
Like, what's the temperature?
I don't know, but I couldn't breathe comfortably. I was like a jimjilbang. But apparently, there's something related to the temperatures being, making your muscles more flexible and warming you up and things like that, I guess. I don't know.
You know, one of my friends did that in Chicago, and I said, why would you do this, especially in the middle of summer? Because it's as hot in Chicago as it is in Seoul. And he goes, because when I walk out of that studio, it feels like winter.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful. And I was like, yeah, but you're in there for an hour and a half, and God knows how hot.
The ends justifies the means, though, I guess, right? All right, Kate, one last question then.
All right. This is a quick one. When you do your squats, what are you told not to do?
방구.
Look at the floor. You're supposed to keep your head straight.
That's good.
Yeah.
But what's one important thing about your knees?
Keep your knees out. Don't let them cave in.
Cave in.
Yeah.
Like as in?
Like when you go down, if the weight's too heavy, your knees will buckle.
Oh, as in like inward
Yeah.
in that
Yeah,
direction.
you're supposed to keep them out at an angle.
But have you also heard that your knees shouldn't go past your toes?
That's what I was going to say. You gave away the answer. I was going to say that.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of questioner are you?
No, but true or false, your knees should never go
They
beyond your
shouldn't go
toes.
forward.
No, they should be in line with maybe
Maximum.
or behind a little bit. But yeah, not over your toes. I wouldn't think.
Because that's putting way too much stress on your knee joints. When
Yeah, and then there's a potential to tip over because then you're kind of forward heavy.
And then your PT starts yelling at you. Then you go upstairs and have a bag of potato chips.
Or are we wrong?
You guys are wrong. The hardest questions for the last. Apparently, you don't have to focus. It is better to work out with your knees not going over your toes every single time because you want to work out your glutes and that's what's helping it. But you don't have to be so focused on not letting it go past your knees because it's kind of for people who don't have developed muscles down there, it's actually safer for them to kind of go in that direction of where your knees can go a little bit past your toes.
It's a more natural motion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be fixated on that.
Yeah.
And you can actually prevent injuries by starting squats that way, eventually making your move towards working out more of your glutes, hence having your knees not go past your toes as much.
Oh, okay. So the next time I do leg day, never, I'm going to remember that.
Yes,
you will. All right, thanks for the quiz, Kate. When we come back, we'll get back to your messages before we get to the end of the show. Here's Death Cab for Cutie, Soul Meets Body.